Christmas greetings to you. My name is Gary Stevenson. I'm the lead pastor at Hope Lutheran Church. And I've been here for just over 5 years now. Originally from Ohio, but have been a Californian since 1989. It's a pleasure to be here and serve among the people of Hope. One of the things that I brought today is a nativity scene. Nativity scenes are very special in our house. We have over 100 of them, if you'd count them all. Some are cross-stitched, some are made out of wood, some are made out of clay. We even have one that was made on a 3D printer. So we have lots of different nativity scenes. Most of them have been given to us as gifts. This is one, however, that we bought ourselves. And one of the reasons that we bought it was, well, there's just something special about it. If you could see it real close, this is what it shows is children doing a Christmas program. So they're all dressed up in their sheets or their bathrobes. They have a baby that they're using for Jesus, the dog. Since they can't use a sheep, they have a dog with tied some wool on him. No wool pulled over his eyes, but all over his back. And you have the angel up above standing on a box. She's trying to shush everyone. It's just kind of fun. It reminds me that the real nativity that happened almost 2,000 years ago was probably in some ways like this one. In other words, it was unpredictable. It was involving real people. And when you're using real people and real animals, there's bound to be some things that happen that maybe aren't quite as smooth as you would like to have happen. In December of 1980, I had the opportunity to go to Israel for 10 days. It was a gift, and I appreciated it. One of the things that was interesting was coming from the United States to Israel. Here in the United States, everything spoke of Christmas with the lights, with the nativity scenes around, trees everywhere, all kinds of decorations. When I got to Israel, however, there was none of that. At first I was a little surprised, then it hit me. I am in a Jewish country. It wasn't until there was one evening where a couple of us snuck out one night in Jerusalem to grab a midnight snack that we went to this small cafe, and there was a Christmas tree that had some lights on it. But it was the kind of Christmas tree that maybe even Charlie Brown wouldn't have wanted to claim. But while we were in Israel, we had one day of the tour that was to ourselves, so we were able to do whatever we wanted. And I went with a couple of the other people that were on the tour, and we rented a car. We took the car and drove around and did a few things. We went to the Holocaust Museum, and then we ended up going out to Bethlehem. We pulled off the side of the road, and we sat. We just sat on the hillside. And while we were sitting there, we watched on the hillside shepherds with their sheep. It was an amazing thing. Here in the United States, I was used to seeing shepherding going on with just the sheep in a pen or even in a field. But over there, in 1980, there were still individuals that were taking their sheep out and being with them as the sheep fed. And I thought of that night 2,000 years before when the angels came to the shepherds, perhaps even in that same area, and said, "Behold, I bring you good news of great joy. For to you is born, for all people, good news." You know, one of the things that I keep going back to is with the nativity scenes, is I appreciate how different artists conceptualize them with their own customs and put them in their own societal settings. For instance, we have a nativity set that was given to us by some folks that were on a trip up to Alaska. And if you look at the nativity set, all the different characters in the scene are wearing parkas and boots. And instead of a stable, you've got an igloo. We have a set that came from Hawaii, and it's made out of some kind of leaves that are in Hawaii, and they look again like Hawaiians. I've seen sets from Central America where the characters all look Central American and are dressed in the outfits that we would find, traditional outfits from Central America. I've seen sets from Africa where all of the players in the scene are dressed in the colorful outfits of the natives of that country. I've seen nativity sets from the Middle East where all of the characters look Middle Eastern, which may be probably the most accurate of all of the nativity sets that I've seen. But one of the things that I appreciate is that each artist can see Christ looking something like them, or themselves looking something like Christ. Finding that image, finding that there is something within their own society, within themselves, that they can identify with. When the angels said to the shepherds, they said that they had good news for all people of all times, all people of all nations, all people of all tongues. And we find ourselves in the presence of God again this Christmas as we gather around the manger scene and remember the most wonderful gift that God has given. Please join me in prayer. Gracious God, we thank you for becoming human and living among us. And as we have a different kind of Christmas this year, we ask that our focus may be on the Christ child, not on the things that we have lost necessarily, but on the things that we have gained through your gracious love. Amen. Merry Christmas, one and all.